a different context for the word humanitarian. Humanitarian, not in the context of war, or fake war, as the case usually is, in the context of ecologist, environmentalist, wilderness habitat conservationist, and those who would like to preserve the continuity of more of the species of vertebrates, especially the monkeys in the jungle, little tiny monkeys that fit in a teacup, all kinds of different monkeys in the equatorial jungles. Hopefully they can be prevented from going extinct, prevented from being eradicated by human encroachment. So I had the idea, if it was necessary, if, say, I live for 150 years, which is not going to happen, and we have a really cool president, which is not going to happen. We haven't had a cool president in a long time, or a hot president, or a cool president, whatever, if you prefer to say hot or instead of cool, or a good president. We haven't had a good president in a long time. What if the president was so great that in the year 2050, the USA president was so great, and let's say the Brazilian president was so terrible, in contrast, that the American president ordered airstrikes on Brazil, and he said, we're protecting the Amazon from encroachment, and we're going to put up a big fence, a big border fence around the remainder of the Amazon rainforest. Nobody should be in there. Nobody's a Native American. And we're just going to protect the species in the wilderness habitat. And if we see you, well, the new regime is going to grab any people that they find in there and bring them out. And we're going to say it's the whole thing, the whole Brazilian, remainder of the Brazilian rainforest is going to be like Central Park, except for nobody's inside it. Nobody's allowed to walk on the grass. Anyway, it's not savanna that I'm talking about. The Brazilians say most of what they developed was savanna, not jungle. It was savanna, meaning grasslands, not jungle. And the Brazilians are saying, we didn't cut into the jungle very much at all. It's really hard to cut into the jungle. Most of what the land that we are on, that we're currently cultivating as agriculture land, most of it was savanna, grassland. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is a hypothetical about the year 2050, or the year 2075, or the year 2100, when the excessive numbers of people and the collapse of the wilderness habitat are really impossible to ignore anymore. And it's really arguably at that point already, but I could be defeated by a bunch of humanitarians who say Paul is contaminated by his hatred. And the Christians and the Muslims leaders and the rabbis will say Paul is a bad leader who's been poisoned by his own hatred because they hate bombed me, the Christians especially. I was surprised the Catholics were so mean to me. But the Church of England Christians, I wasn't surprised that they were so mean to me. They really hated me. But the Muslims, well, some of them also got led into it by the rabbis and the Christian and Catholic leaders. I should say Church of England, because Catholic is more original Christianity versus Church of England. But the Jewish rabbis apparently were recruiting Muslims against me. Maybe some Muslims agree with a lot of the things I say, because I have some really good ability to predict the future. And I said Muslim women are going to embrace at least the right to be the conservator of their own reproductive capacity and have the option of within the first 90 days at least, and within the first 60 days, maybe at least 60 days, that Muslim women are going to approve of the right to abortion, terminating the pregnancy of a human embryo within the first, maybe the first 60 days, maybe the first 90 days. Muslim women are going to by their majority are going to prefer that, and has nothing to do with the racial conflict in Islamic land. I hope not, because I like the partially Africanized Hindus and the partially Africanized Arabs. I like them, but maybe the more Caucasian, more purely Caucasian Arabs and the more purely Caucasian Hindus, maybe they're really angry at them. I really have a bad time with African American society, and that was who I was thinking of, trying to get our white girls. And I consider myself white, but not pure white. And so anyway, maybe the religious leaders are going to beat up on me for not believing in magic, and because I suggested that they put more thought into their concept of God. Maybe they could have an idea of a God of justice. Like that was what occurred to me 2 days ago. I said, wow, I really had a viable concept of God just now, because I was contemplating dying, being buried under propaganda, and would the people know me as I really am after I'm dead? And they're trying to coerce me to have to stay alive just to defend my reputation. I said, no. If I don't get some success, maybe some prosperity, but most importantly, if I don't find a woman to be my wife, to have a family, then I'm going to consider myself a man rejected by society and ostracized, and so then I wouldn't want to live in humiliation of being ostracized. So I said, and so they threatened me. Probably the Jewish terrorists threatened me with this, and maybe also Christian terrorists. If you kill yourself, nobody will be alive to prove that you're not a beast fag or something like that. And I said, no. I said to myself, I'll make my best publicity statements against the defamation narratives, and I'll put some time into making my statements so that people can really know me as I am. But if I don't get what I expect within the time frame that I expect it, I think I will, unless I feel like I'm really close to getting success, I think I will kill myself. And I said, as an act of faith, for the sake of the defense of my legacy, and I will have a faith in a concept of God which has to do with justice and karma, and that the truth of my character will sort of contaminate the people with grief and with wisdom, and that I was not, as their horrible suggestions have been portraying me. And they moved the goalposts, and after they said, well, you did it, you must have done it, and I said, no, and I couldn't talk about it, but I didn't do that, and it was actually a female dog. It was really weird, but I had coaxed her to lick my butt crack. It's just really weird. And then they said, see, the people who were suggesting the beast fag narrative, they were saying dog anal. Well, female dog and her tongue. And it was only 15 seconds. I didn't even ejaculate. So then they moved the goalpost and they said, well, maybe we did it to you in the years you can't remember. Maybe we did it to you in your early childhood. Can you rule it out? Neither can we. We can't rule it out that it might have happened. We're going to keep the narrative alive. So a lot of men deserve to be put into a facility and injected with estrogen. If only we had that much estrogen. And I would probably make a slave of Barack Obama, inject him with estrogen, and also Donald Trump and George Bush, inject him with estrogen. Anyway, I'm going to continue a strong defense of my reputation. But I said, at some point, I should have a wife, and she has to look fairly spectacular, because I have to have a resounding victory over the evil which has besieged me. Or if I settle for less than a really spectacularly attractive wife, they'll say he compromised because he's not a winner, he's a bad guy. And this is what people were saying about him, and this is probably why he settled for a wife who doesn't look terrific. So anyway, that's all for now.